You wake up to the faint glow of your phone screen, and in that single glance, your pulse spikes. XRP, once the coin everyone dismissed, is climbing past the double digits. Your brain does the math before your heart can slow down. 500 coins. A year ago, that was barely $1,000. Now it's something else entirely, a pivot point, the sound of a door closing on the old world and opening to something you can almost feel. It didn't start with breaking news or a government announcement. It started with a tweet. A casual post from Edward Fina, the founder of Alpha Lions Academy, written at 3 a.m., 12 words, almost nobody will ever hold more than 500 XRP. Simple, but it hit like a thunderclap. I couldn't sleep after reading it. Somewhere between the bitter taste of midnight coffee and the quiet hum of my laptop, I found myself staring at an old spreadsheet that had once been my escape and now looked like a time bomb. I multiplied the numbers, 415 times 500, about $1,000. A weekend trip, a few months of lattes, a cracked iPhone screen repair, the price of something forgettable, and yet something inside me whispered that it wouldn't stay that cheap for long. Everyone talks about buying when it's safe, when the charts look stable, when the headlines turn friendly, but that's not when life-changing moves are made. Bitcoin was dismissed at $12. People begged for it to drop back under 30,000 years later. History rewards the ones who saw the door just before it shut. Maybe 500 XRP is that door. What makes 500 such a sacred number? It's not the cost, it's the psychology. It's just enough to make a difference, yet small enough to feel within reach. The scarcity factor is what people miss. Institutions have been circling XRP like hawks in the night. Trident Digital put down $500 million. Weber's International filed for $300 million in liquidity exposure. Vivo Power added another $100 million. Even Alt Capital joined the hunt with $10 million on the table. These aren't random crypto traders. These are firms building long-term positions. The buffet is still open, but the plates are disappearing fast. Retail buyers think they have time. They imagine the next dip, the next bear market, the next perfect entry. But while they wait, institutions quietly stockpile. Scarcity doesn't announce itself, it just tightens, one silent transaction at a time. So why don't more people grab 500 coins while they can? Because of fear, the kind that creeps in the first time a red candle appears on your screen. People promise they'll never buy again. They forget that real investing is a long game. Like bamboo, you water it for months with nothing to show, until one morning it shoots 6 feet overnight. That's the patience the market demands. Most can't bear it. But those who do change their lives. I remember 2021 vividly. Every Friday, I'd buy $20 of XRP, small, automatic, almost boring. After 6 months, my stack looked unimpressive. Then one day, the price jumped 30%, and suddenly my tiny routine looked like foresight. My friends laughed. You could have doubled your money on that meme coin, they said, but I wasn't chasing memes. I was chasing utility. Memes fade, utility endures. Fast forward to today. XRP flirts with $2 while whales quietly accumulate. 50 coins at $10 each equals $5,000. Still small compared to the yachts and private jets of crypto legends, but enough to sting for anyone who hesitated. Once XRP crosses certain price thresholds, the math changes. What once cost skipping a few dinners suddenly feels like skipping rent. The casual buyers check out right when the story is getting interesting. Edward Fina has a larger vision. He calls 10,000 XRP the freedom number. At today's price, that's roughly $2,000, the cost of a used car. If the coin even hints at triple digits, that car becomes a down payment on a home by the sea. Sounds wild? Maybe. But so did Bitcoin at $250. Perspective shifts after the fact. Here's the catch. When institutions start buying, they don't stop at headlines. Each purchase becomes a signal, a flare for others to follow. Remember when MicroStrategy bought Bitcoin? It wasn't just an acquisition, it was a lighthouse moment. XRP is entering that same feedback loop. One firm invests, the price ticks up, the media reacts, and the next firm follows. Suddenly, everyone's barber, Uber driver, and co-worker are talking about XRP. That's the power of momentum. Skeptics will always exist. They'll talk about centralization, lawsuits, regulatory drama. Fine. Every revolution has its doubters. But ignoring something doesn't stop it from happening. The salmon doesn't wait for you to cast your line. By the time you're ready, the tour boat's already hauled in the catch. Now let's talk numbers. 55 billion XRP sounds enormous until you realize most of it never moves. Locked in escrow, held by Ripple, or tucked away in long-term wallets, the actual liquid supply is far smaller. Think of a town with 55,000 houses, but half are still being built and another 20,000 already rented out for years. Only a few thousand are actually for sale. That's XRP's real supply, which means even small institutional allocations can tilt the market dramatically. History tells us what happens when scarcity meets narrative. First come the believers, then the analysts, then the mainstream press, and finally the crowd, the ones who arrive too late and pay 10 times the price. The S-curve of adoption never fails. XRP is moving from curiosity to inevitability. Its use case isn't a white paper fantasy. It's already functioning in remittance corridors, bank pilots, and settlement trials. It's not a dream. It's infrastructure in waiting. Consider global remittances alone. Over $700 billion move across borders annually. Fees eat a painful share of that total. If XRP captures even 10% of that flow, $70 billion of value could be running through a coin with limited float. Add in central bank experiments, treasury allocations, and cross-border settlements, and XRP becomes more than a token. It becomes liquidity itself. That's where the quiet revolution begins. Adoption doesn't need mass awareness. It just needs a pressure point. Like water behind a dam, it builds unseen until a single crack changes everything. The supply shock happens all at once, not gradually. You won't see it coming on your calendar. It'll arrive when the world blinks. The ones who mocked it will tell themselves they always knew, the same way they knew about Bitcoin or Ethereum or Amazon stock. But history doesn't reward hindsight. It rewards conviction when the noise is loudest and the proof feels thin. Still, 500 XRP isn't about chasing riches. It's about position. It's the dividing line between those who saw the opportunity while it was quiet and those who waited for permission to believe. That's what Fina meant when he said most people will never hold 500 XRP, not because they can't afford it, but because they'll hesitate until the door slams. The market won't send an invitation. There won't be a headline that says, "Now is the time." The signal is silence, the kind that always comes before the storm. And the moment you realize it's happening, the price will already be somewhere you can't reach. Now comes the bigger question. Who benefits from this shrinking supply? It isn't the average retail investor. It's the institutions, the early adopters, the insiders who understood what liquidity means in a digital economy. Ripple built XRP for utility, not hype. Its mission wasn't memes or moonshots. It was to solve trillion-dollar inefficiencies in global payments. That's not speculation, that's evolution. Think about it. Every time you transfer money internationally, middlemen take cuts, banks hold funds hostage for days, and systems built in the 1970s pretend to be modern. XRP's design solves that instantly. Low cost, near-instant settlement, trustless validation. It's not futuristic, it's overdue. Now imagine this. As global institutions, from the World Bank to the IMF, move beyond theory and into implementation, they'll realize what early investors already know. The available liquidity is smaller than it looks. The window to accumulate is closing. And when they decide to act, they won't trickle in. They'll flood in. Not to speculate, but to secure the plumbing of a new financial system. That's when the shift happens. Supply dries up, demand surges, prices don't climb, they detonate. History calls that a reset moment. The charts don't just rise, they redraw themselves. When that happens, it won't be the day traders or paper hands who win. It'll be the quiet ones who saw the scarcity forming and refused to flinch. They didn't chase the hype, they understood the infrastructure. XRP isn't just another coin, it's the wiring beneath the world's financial system. Every test, every pilot, every integration is one more fuse burning toward a single ignition point. The lawsuits will end. The partnerships will go public. The geopolitical dominoes will fall one by one. By the time the mainstream catches on, the door will already be locked from the inside. That's how markets shift. Quietly, then all at once. So the real question isn't whether XRP will rise. It's whether you'll be inside when it does. Because scarcity doesn't wait. It moves silently until the last second, and then it takes everything with it. And when that moment comes, those who prepared will simply watch it unfold calmly, quietly, as the world catches up to what they already knew. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice and should not be relied upon as such. Cryptocurrency markets are highly volatile and speculative. Always conduct your own research and consult a licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions.